overwhelmed a little with that. Hello everyone, I'm an addict named Danny. And I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to be clean, and I'm grateful to be in any meeting of Narcotics Anonymous anywhere. And I'm especially grateful to be here in Denmark. You know, for so long, they didn't want me around. And now someone invites me to share. It's a privilege to sit up here. I'm the one who's privileged, not you guys. I'm privileged to carry this life-saving message. Before I start, and I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of things, and I hope everyone can hear me up there in the back. You can hear me, and if I spoke in Danish, you wouldn't understand anything I say, because I don't know anything. I went to the meeting earlier, and I understood the Serenity Prayer, but what I'm getting at is I could feel the energy, and I could hear the message, even though I didn't understand the language. And that's happened to me every time that I've gone out of the United States and heard a different language of Narcotics Anonymous, because Narcotics Anonymous is the message of the heart, and it's actually a love story. We're in a love story here. I want to do something before I start sharing, and I want all you guys have to participate in this, okay? Okay? Okay. All right. So the month of March, in my recovery, in my life, is a really hard month for me, emotionally, because 4 people that were influential in me being clean, me being sitting in this chair, all passed away within a 6-month period from this disease. They died clean, but it still was from this disease, because they picked up stuff like hepatitis C that turned into cancer. But anyways, 4 of them in the month of March that were influential in me being clean passed away. So I'm going to yell out their names to recognize them, because they're still in my heart and in my head and in my soul. And then when I'm done, I want anyone who's lost someone to yell their name out. Okay? And then after we've done that, you see this chair right here? This chair is for the addicts who still suffers, who ain't here. So if there's anybody, I'm getting chills, if there's anybody that you want that you know that's out there and want them in here, I want you to close your eyes and wish them right here. And they will be in this room with us, even though they're physically not here. Can everybody help me out on that before I start? All right, so I'm going to yell out these names. There's about 5 names. First one is Jeff, Hamilton, Freddie, Don, and Ardo. Tommy. Now wish anyone that you want in this chair. Close your eyes and wish them here. Don't wish them, bring them here, and they'll be here. Thank you everyone. Again, I'm an addict named Danny. I'm grateful to be here. First thing I want to thank the convention committee for asking me to come here to speak, to hear my message. The thing that I'm going to talk about is my experience. I don't know how to tell you how to stay clean. I can just tell you how I stayed clean. You know, and it might work for you, it might not. You know, I can't tell anyone how to do nothing, man. I thought I knew a lot when I got here, and I found out I don't know shit. Excuse me, I still cuss, so bear with me. So I'm going to tell you first a little about who I am. Like I said, my name is Danny or Daniel, and I'm an addict. I'm 69 years old, but I look 39, right? All right, 40 maybe. I'm Jewish. I'm a Vietnam veteran. The reason why I mention that is because that's a big part of my recovery story. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, USA, which is in the southwestern part of the United States. If anyone doesn't know where that is, but I do see the Arizona NA hat out there, man. So, and there's a story about that hat I'm gonna tell you. My clean date is September 16th, 1987. But I started with one day. It took one day to get the rest. I have 2 grown children that experience the horrors of addiction, and they've also experienced the miracles of this program, man. And I have too. So I want to, that's about who I am. My home group is called The Central Issue. It's in Phoenix, Arizona. It's 7 o'clock right in the center of Phoenix. It's a meeting that we have the first Saturday of the month. We have a speaker meeting, and then the rest of the time we read out of our literature the guiding principles, the tradition book. You can't go wrong in any meeting if you read out of our wonderful literature. So it's hard to mess up our literature. So anyways, but I told you my clean date was September 16th, 87. I got a little over 31 years clean. I like to say almost 32 because that sounds better. And then maybe you'll like me, because I was this thing where, God, they better like me. Oh, I forgot. I also said the speaker prayer. Does everybody know what the speaker prayer is before I came up here? That's, God, please don't let me suck. So I said that, so hopefully I won't suck. So anyways, my clean date, I have over 31 years, but my very first meeting of Narcotics Anonymous was in Oakland, California in 1972. Now I went to that meeting. I didn't want to get clean. I didn't care about getting clean. I was in the grip of addiction. The grip in English, if you know, it means when you're in it and there's nothing that will stop you. I call it the grip. It's where it's got you. You can't stop. Even though you want to stop, you know you have to stop. If you don't stop, you're going back to jail or the penitentiary. Your family's going to be taken away. You want to, but I'm going to stop tomorrow, and then the next one comes. That's called the grip. So anyways, I go to this meeting. The only reason I went to the meeting was not to get clean. It was in a methadone clinic. On the top and on the bottom, there's this preacher that would run this NA meeting, and he said if you come to the meeting that he would help you get this new detox drug back in the day. It was called Darvon-N. And it was some kind of thing that would help you with withdrawals. So the only reason that I went to that meeting, because I wanted to get that detox drug. And they made you sit through the whole meeting before they give it to you. Man, that was a long-ass meeting, man. So again, I wasn't there to get clean. I didn't want to get clean. I just wanted that, and I got it. All right, went to the meeting. They gave me the drug. Didn't work, like nothing ever worked. So now let's fast forward. That's 1972. Let's now fast forward to 1983. 1983, again, I'm going to another NA meeting. The only reason I'm going to that meeting, I'm not going there to get clean, to stop using. I am hooked, and I'm in the grip of this disease. So I went there because the guy that I was with had $50, and he had to have this court card signed. I don't know if this happens in Denmark, but you go to jail and you get on probation, and you have to go to NA meetings, and you have to have the chairperson sign the card to show that you were there. So he had to get this card signed. And after that, we were going across the street to the Windsor Hotel in downtown Phoenix, across the street from the police department, which they were slinging dope, and I guarantee you right at this moment, they're still doing it 30 years later. So as soon as this meeting was over and he got this court card signed, we were gonna go cop. Okay, went there, waited, again, the longest meeting I was ever in. Finally, he gets it, we go across and do our business. Now, of those 2 meetings, the only thing that I remember, the first meeting in 1972, the next meeting in 1983, the only thing I remember is someone in that meeting held up their hand and said they had 90 days clean. I don't remember anything else. I don't remember who was there, what it was about, the reading, but I remember, and why I remember that so much is because I was thinking, there is no way that anyone could be clean for 90 days. There's no way. If you shot dope like I did and did this shit that I did out there in the street, there's no way. It's impossible. It can't be done. They're lying or whatever, you know. But that's when I believe the seed of recovery was planted in me. I really believe that, you know. And there was other times I'd be out there and I'd be in the grip and I'd be in these situations where I just, God, this is so horrible. I want to stop and I can't. Why can't I? What's wrong with me? What moral deficiency do I have? You know, and I would think about those guys holding their hand up. 90 days. Man, that's a long time. 90 days to not use? You know, so that's when the seed of recovery was planted. Now, I was a type of addict, maybe other people are too. It's like everything that happened in my life was your fault. It's not my fault, even though I had everything to do with it. And what I did in my addiction is, it's kind of like a heavyweight boxer, the analogy. Like a heavyweight boxer, like trains for his fight, he's in the best shape, and he goes out, and he gets in the middle of the ring, and bam, he gets knocked down. They drag him back to his corner, fan him off, get him ready for the next round. That's how my addiction was. From when I was 16, 17 years old till I got clean at 37, I was in and out of VA hospitals because I'm a veteran, and they have to put you in the hospital because you're a veteran, no insurance, you don't need that, and then out for the next round. Bam, knock me out, back again, and that's what I continue to do. And now I want to tell you kind of how I ended up in an NA meeting. Except this time was different. This time I wanted to get clean. I wanted to just stay clean. But I want to tell you guys that the way I got to this point is I finally got so sick of using and all this shit happened that I just decided to do it. No. Everything that got me to NA was pushed into me because of situations I got into. So in the last years of my using, now I want to tell you about Phoenix, Arizona. In the summertime, it's really hot. I mean, it's ridiculously hot. I don't know what it is, what the temperature would be Celsius, but it gets to 118 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's just hot. I mean, you can cook an egg on a car's hood. That's how hot it is. So anyways, in my last days of using, I'm in the grip, and like I was talking about before, how you can't, no matter what you want to do, I want to stop, and I can't, man. I can't, and I knew it was over for me. I was 37 years old, and I knew I just couldn't do this anymore, because in between those VA hospitals, I'd go to jail. Back jail, VA hospitals, detox, out for the next round. So it's this one day when I totally knew that it was over. It was 118 degrees in Phoenix, and it took me all day to get $20. $20 when you need to get a bag of heroin, back in those days. It took me all day hustling to get this. Finally, I got this money. I went to the connection, scored, used, and usually after they'd take the dope sick off you and there'd be some kind of relief. And it was so hot, what we used to do, we used to go to this movie theater in downtown Phoenix, which show 3 movies, 2 cartoons, and a newsreel. and it was air conditioned. So when you go in there in the daytime in this movie theater, that's always in there are dope fiends. Because this is their place they could cool off and chill. So after I used that drug, and there was no relief this time, the obsession to use was on me immediately. Now, when I talk about the obsession to use, I remember mine, you know, when there's no matter what you would do. Think about this for a minute. When you're in the height of your addiction and you needed to get whatever you needed to get, there was nothing that would stop you. Nothing. I remember that. That's also being in the grip, where you cannot stop. So anyway, so I do this, go cool off, and I know it's over, but I still didn't stop. This power of the addiction still didn't stop. So it still went on, but I knew that it was done. I was done, that I could not go out and do this anymore, you know. So the day that I really came in and knew that it was over, and I was pushed into it as, I don't know if they have it, what they call in Denmark and in Arizona, they have what they call shooting galleries, and they're just places, abandoned house, where addicts go shoot dope. You know, we used to call them abandonminiums, you know. They're just abandoned. So I went to this place, used my drugs, fixed the drug, came out, and as I'm coming out, the narcs, the police, are coming in. Their faces are covered, they got flak jackets on, automatic weapons, they're coming in. So a smart guy like me, I know, if I don't have any drugs on me, I'm not in the house, so there's no way that they can bust me. Only they can give me is under the influence, take me to jail, I'm out in 24 hours. Okay, so I throw my outfit in bushes, they come and grab me, throw me on the ground, frisk me, go in the house, bust all the other people. Most of them are Mexican nationals who bring in all the drugs from Mexico. And this one narc says to me, he goes, "You think you got away because you're not holding, don't you? And you're not in the house. Well, I'm gonna take care of you right now." So he took me in the house, and all these guys are tied up, hooked up with those ties on the ground, and he tells them in English and in Spanish that I'm the one who snitched them out. And so I say to him, "You know, you just signed my death warrant." And he said, "Good, because that's where all you stinking junkies need to be is dead." And I wish I could meet that cop right now, because he saved my life. He literally saved my life. The way he saved my life was my bridge was burned. There was I can't score, I gotta get out of it. I can't, they'll kill me. So what do? VA hospital, they gotta take me. Again, back for that same round. This time it was different. And then what did I remember? Somebody holding their hand up in 90 days. I remembered it like that. In that time of desperation, God showed up. Remember them guys? Maybe it could work for you. Probably not, but this much. And then we talk about principle of hope in here. I had this much. That's all I needed. So I immediately called my father, my enabler. Now I got to tell you, I forgot to tell you about my family. I didn't come from I came from a wonderful family that did everything they could do to give me everything I could give, and they could just never understand. I have a brother and sister who aren't addicts. What happened to me, you know? But they tried, and I had this father. My father was the enabler, and my mother was the one that wouldn't put up for nothing, and my father was kind of a half a gangster guy, and he's a pretty tough guy from the streets of Chicago, and he used to bring me $50 every day to the place where I'd connect, because he knew if he didn't give me that money that I would do something to get me locked up again. And he used to come there and he'd hand me this $50 and there'd be tears coming out his eyes. And it got to be the point where I couldn't look at him, man. I couldn't look. I had to get my partner to get the money from him. It was just so, to look at this tough guy that my addiction brought him down to, and there's a thing about my dad, he had a thing for his children, man. He would do anything for his children. My mother, she told me only after I robbed her house, my own mother's house, to get your stinking junky ass out of my house, you're not my son. So anyways, he would bring me this money, I'd get the money, and this time I called him and I said, Dad, you know, this time, I'm really gonna quit. And he showed up and he took me to the VA detox. And then they sent me from the VA, took me to a 28-day drug program. Back in those days, they didn't have all these fancy treatment centers they got now, that, you know, where you got swimming pools and they serve you breakfast in bed and take care of you like, you know, going to one of those treatment centers is like fucking going on vacation for an addict, man. You know? In those days, they put you in the nut ward, 5th floor, nut house. That's where addicts went, because they're crazy. That's what's something wrong with them. They had a moral deficiency. We don't have a moral deficiency, we have a disease. We have a disease called addiction. It's just like, you know, having cancer or diabetes. How do you take care of diabetes? You give yourself insulin. Well, that's what you do here. You give yourself recovery. So anyways, I go there, and then this time, my attitude's different. The reason why, every bridge is burned. I can get money from family. I can't get nothing. I can't even go in the street and cop because they'll kill me. Gotta do it. I wish I could tell you guys, I had this awakening in my spirit, wanted to get clean. I was pushed into it because there's nothing else left. And then what's in our literature talk about? In desperation, what do? Sought help. I was in as desperate a situation that you could be in. I couldn't even score in my own neighborhood. And then I'm thinking, I'm 10,000 miles away from where I live in Denmark. There was a time I couldn't go out of a 10-mile radius in my neighborhood because I couldn't score. Or if you went in the wrong neighborhood, they'd kill you. So this time I started listening. I didn't, you know, and I remember, you need to get a sponsor. A sponsor, what's a sponsor? A sponsor is a guy who will teach you how to work these 12 steps. 12 steps, what is that? And those are sentences up on the wall here. So I turn around and look at them sentences. Well, how are 12 sentences going to keep me clean? They're just 12 sentences. Well, they're traditions too, so there's actually 24. All right, so how's 24 sentences going to keep me clean? That's what the sponsor will do. He'll show you and teach you how that will work. And it will change, he's telling me, it will change your life. So I go, okay, how do I get one of these sponsors? Because I'm ready. I don't want to because I can't go back. You go to a meeting and you listen to somebody, and sooner or later somebody will tell your story. So I go to meetings and I heard some guy, and at the time I'm in the treatment center, and they're taking us to every kind of meeting there is. Now back then they didn't have CMA and Heroin Anonymous, and my favorite one is Repeat Offenders Anonymous. And I was thinking, if you quit using, maybe you wouldn't keep going to jail. So what do you need, Repeat Offenders Anonymous? So, listen. So I listened to this guy, and I remember he said something from the podium. He said, yeah, I went to the connection, and I asked the connection, was his dope any good? Like the guy's going to say, no, mine's horrible, go to somebody else, you know? And that little thing I related to. So I went up to him and I didn't say, excuse me, could you be my sponsor? I said, you're my fucking sponsor, man. And he goes, okay. He was in a program called CA, and they use other literature. They don't use Narcotics Anonymous literature. So he'd give me this book, and please don't get me wrong, I am not saying anything bad about other literature, other recovery literature, but I would try to read this book. I couldn't get it, man. And I would get frustrated, and again I would think, what is wrong with me? Everyone else has got this book, and they're staying clean. I can't understand what's wrong with me. And I remember I would get so frustrated, throw it. And I would go to him and go, man, you tell me to read this, I'll try it. I can't do it. And he goes, well, you know, after talking with you, I think maybe you should go to Narcotics Anonymous. And here's the guy I want you to ask. Call him. okay? So one of those guys that I yelled out, that's who I went and asked. And I said, Jeff, they sent me over here and said you'd sponsor me. He goes, tell me a little about yourself. Told him, and then I listened to him, and we connected instantly. You know how here, you come here sometimes and you meet certain people and you immediately connect with them, immediately. Because you know what, the truth of it is, how many people in this room, 200, 300? There's really only one person in here, man. Because we are all the same. There's only one person in here. You know, this is my second time in Denmark. I came 2 years ago to this convention. Now I got connections with these guys, man. With these guys and some other women, I mean, that are long, I mean, where do you get that, man? I see one, I'm looking at her now. You connect immediately. You know, that's an attraction to NA. NA is different, man, I'm telling you. That's where the attraction is. You know, the thing that attracted me a lot too was our diversity. Look around the room. There's every kind of person, man. There's gay, there's straight, black, white. You know, you can always find what you need here. You can find the person that can take you through them 12 steps, which will save your life and change your life. The 12 steps are the key, is the program. The conventions aren't the program, you know, the camp outs, the dances, the 12 steps of the program. So he tells me, okay, let's write these 12 steps and they'll save your life. I said, let's go. We started writing these inventories. You know, the first step, powerless. I remember about being powerless. I remember more about an unmanageable life. People don't rob stores and stick guns in people's face. I can understand about what unmanageable life is. People don't stick needles in their arm. That's unmanageable. But this powerless part, what do you mean I'm powerless? I can do anything I want. But then I started remembering when I was in the grip, when I knew I wanted to stop. I knew I had to stop. I'm going to lose my whole family. My wife is going to take my children. I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to go back to the penitentiary if I don't stop, and I still continue to use. That's being in the grip. That's being powerless. Why do I do that? Write them steps, man. You'll find out. Right? So I got really intrigued. I wanted to find out what makes me tick. Why does this happen? Why am I powerless? So I started writing these inventories. The very first inventory I wrote was that first step. And in that first step inventory, what came out of that was, I told you guys how old I am, right? So I'm a kid of the 1950s. So back in the 1950s, everybody smoked cigarettes. Everyone smoked cigarettes. There wasn't all this stuff about cigarettes. And my parents, who were really cool people, they used to have these parties. And in these parties, there would be cigarettes sitting out, and there'd be candy dishes. Now, I'm 7 years old. And my deal was when the people came over for the party, I'd get to say hello to them, I'd get one piece of candy, and I go to bed. Well, the party's on Saturday, and on Monday night, I'm laying up and I'm planning on how I'm going to get all that candy. Not one piece. I mean, it's like I'm going to rob a bank. I'm planning it. I got, diagrams. I'm going to get sneak over here, and, I'm going to get all that candy. So Saturday comes, I say hello to the company that are there. They give me the one piece of candy. I go back to bed. Good night. I sneak out, steal all the candy, eat it all of it. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sick. Mommy. And what I figured out, what came to me writing that inventory, was that's addiction, man. I felt the same way and did the same thing when I was trying to score heroin. I would plan out how I was going to, my hustle for the day or the week. It was the same thing. I started understanding, there's nothing, you don't have a moral deficiency. You've just got a disease called addiction, So I started writing these inventories. And I started understanding, But then they came where, I knew there was some kind of power greater than me, and they used to tell me you have to You have to find this power. Well, I told you I was Jewish, right? And I used to go to Hebrew school when I was a kid, and I would get in trouble, and I got in, believe this or not, I got in a fight with a rabbi, man. Who fights rabbis, man? And the rabbi told me that God is going to punish you for the rest of you. You're so bad. And so I had this thing about God, and I kept putting together religion, higher power. I couldn't separate it. You know, I just kept thinking, oh man, all the shit I've done, I'm in big trouble. I'm in big trouble. So I had to figure out a way to separate that. And then my sponsor, again, ask the sponsor, he'll teach you how to do this. So I'm telling him about this dilemma, and he says, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you do this? Why don't every day you get on your knees, get on my knees, why? Why don't you just humble yourself a little bit? Well, I can't get on my knees, what if somebody sees me? It ain't cool to pray. It ain't cool, somebody might see me. And man, I was cool, because I just came back from a 15-year heroin run showing how cool I was. You know, I can't let nobody see me. He goes, all right, here's what you do. Get your car keys, put them under the bed. And every morning you got to get on your knees and pull them keys out. And while you're down there, all you need to say is, I don't believe in you. I don't know what you are. Please remove this obsession to use. You think you can do that? You're not asking, you're not saying God, you're not saying nothing. It's nothing to do with religion. You're just asking something in the universe. You're asking the universe to keep you clean, to remove the obsession to use. That I can do, but I ain't praying with anyone in the room because they'll see me. So I waited until everyone was out of the room. I got on my knees and I went, I remember, you ready for this? This is my first prayer to my higher power. You motherfucker, if you're up there, you better take this obsession away because I'm going to die if you don't. And it wasn't those exact words, but the MF was. That was, you know, but God, he don't care how you talk to him. You know, if I'm an image of this higher power, then that's him. So that was my very first prayer, true story. And then I noticed about 38, 40, 45, some in that vicinity, I started, man, I haven't thought about using for for a few days. Are you kidding me? Now I remember my obsession. You guys remember your obsession? Where there was nothing that would stop you to get whatever you need. Remember? Yeah. I remember mine. There's nothing would stop me. And then all of a sudden, by asking something I don't even believe in, that believe it won't work for me, poof, almost it's gone. And I started, wow, maybe they got something here. And remember I told you I had this much hope? It got a little bit bigger. Maybe this will work. The obsession to use. Think about it. Everyone in this room don't have an obsession to use. That's some kind of power. That power can do anything. You know, now in my recovery, my girlfriend breaks up with me. Oh God, he can't take care of a girlfriend breaking up with you. What do you mean? He took away the obsession to use. He can't help you find a job. You went bankrupt. He can't help you with that. Come on. He took the obsession to use away. That's some awesome power, man. And anyone can tap into this power. You know, so I got obsessed into getting a connection with this power. And I separated it from from religion. And I used a group. Me and Glenn together are a power greater than me, right? All you guys, if I'm with you, I got a pretty good chance of not using. You know? But when I'm by myself, and this here is working, see, my problem isn't heroin, cocaine, alcohol. My problem is this insane thinking that continues to tell me I'm not powerless. Yeah, you've been clean 31. God, you can use it. You're in Denmark. Nobody will know. And then not only that, when you fly back to the West, you get a day back. So you really didn't use because you're getting that day back. That's what goes in my head. So look at that. I can go back home and use it. Yeah, all right. And then there's some our literature talks about addicts will justify the most ridiculous bullshit. And man, if that ain't the most ridiculous thing, but that's the stuff that goes through my head. You know, it's not a moral deficiency, it's a disease. My disease doesn't want me. People say, oh, my disease wants to be dead. Not mine. Mine wants me to be as miserable of his existence walking this earth. Because if you're dead, it's over. You don't feel nothing. It's done. But when you're clean, you've been clean a while, and you're miserable, that's the worst, man. You know, it's this. Our predecessor, Pepe. Anybody heard of Pepe? It's one of our original predecessors, founders with Jimmy Kennan. I could say Kennan because he's passed. He talks about this. It's a thought this is a thought disease. There's two kinds of thought. There's the thought of the spirit, and there's the thought of the ego. The ego addicts have because it craves power and material things. The spirit only craves love. And when brand new babies are born and they come out of the womb, they're full of love. They're taught prejudice. They're taught everything. But when they're new, and it's just like that. When I'm a newcomer and I'm new like a born baby, you guys teach me. If I get the wrong teacher, then I might have a problem. So I get the right. So anyone who don't have a sponsor, find a sponsor and find the right one. And if you have a sponsor and he don't work, get another one. You save your life. So I come to believe, and man, shit's starting to happen, man. Man, I'm getting clean. I'm going holding my hands up. 90 days I held my hand up for. Remember how excited the night before I couldn't sleep. Because I remember them two guys, man, 90 days. So I get 90 days, I get, and I'm just like, man, I'm into this narcotic. Man, I got it going on, man. Look at me. Look at me, man. I'm going to every function, and I'm getting some money. I actually not living in a halfway house no more, because when I lived in the first in the halfway house, I was so terrified to leave that I wouldn't leave the meeting, the area, because I knew if I went outside I'd use. So the group saved me. My higher power saved me by putting the group there. And so then as I get going on, and I got a year clean, right? Now I'm really excited. My younger brother lives in Washington, D.C. It's about 2,500 miles from Phoenix. And I'm going to fly to Washington, D.C. And they gave me this thing called a credit card, man. And it was mine. It had my name. It wasn't yours. So he gives me, and man, I'm so excited. I'm going to get to see my brother who almost gave up on me. Well, he wouldn't enable me anymore. Younger brother who's not an addict, doing really good in his business, and I'm going to fly there and stay with him. And so I get there and I go, and my brother's name's Andy. I go, Andy, can you take me to any meeting? He goes, sure, tell me where it's at. So I go, find a helpline, call the hell. There wasn't no internet, so I find a helpline and tell me an NA meeting. Well, I don't know nowhere in Washington, D.C., so I picked this meeting. Man, it's in a bad neighborhood, man. I mean, a really dangerous. So he goes, where is it? And I tell him, he goes, what? I ain't taking you there. We'll get killed there. I go, Andy, you'll be all right. It's an NA meeting. So he takes me to the meeting, get out of the meeting, or get out the car to go in the meeting, and he tells me, I am not letting you out of the car. I go, it'll be all right. He goes, all right, I'm going to drive up the street and wait for you in case something happens. It'll be fine. So in this, the name of the meeting in Washington, D.C., in Northeast Washington, D.C., a really bad neighborhood. It was called the Trust Clinic. It was a methadone clinic. You had to walk down this alley. Clinic was on top, and one of the meeting was one place, clinic was the other. And as you walk down the street, there were people selling heroin. And in those days, it used to come in glass vials. And as you walk down the alley, you hear where you're stepping on these people that used, But I didn't care. I'm going to the meeting. So I go in the meeting, and You see this hat that says Arizona, NA, show them. We had hats and shirts like that. And we had a shirt that said that saying Arizona. So I walk in this meeting, and first of all, I walk in this meeting, ain't nobody looked like me. Nobody. There's the only white person in the whole meeting. I walk in this meeting, and the guy sees Arizona. He goes, "Are you from Arizona?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Wow, they got an NA in Arizona." "You sure do. Come in here, Arizona." He wouldn't even call me by name, call me Arizona. "Come in here, Arizona. We want to hear about NA in Arizona." I said, "Okay." Sat down, did the meeting, and then those addicts in that meeting, they took me to the subway, put me on the subway to go back because they said, you're going to be in trouble walking down the street in this neighborhood. So they escorted me. Again, God sends you guys to take the group to protect me. Put me on the train. That was 31 years ago. Okay? I'm still friends with that addict, man. 31 miracles. I told you this is a program of love, man. I can feel it. I feel in Denmark the minute I got here, even the first 2 years, I could feel it. I feel it in this convention. It radiates off of us. That's the difference between NA and other places. It radiates. I'm 10,000 miles away from home. I feel like I know all you guys. I feel like I'm in my home group. You know? I am not nervous up here because you guys are, we're all one. There's just one of them here. You know? And so I want to tell you now, I want to talk a little bit about, tell me when I'm getting, because I'll talk for 2 hours and everybody will leave. But I want to tell you about, I told you a little bit about the horrors of addiction, and everyone in here knows the horror, or you wouldn't be here. Because there's other things to do than to go to NA meetings if you're not an addict, you know. So I want to kind of tell you about the miracles that happened in my life, you know. So I wrote that in and started figuring out how I'm powerless and stuff. And I knew I was a man when I came to believe, you know. Then I had to go to that inventory called the fourth. Ooh, the fourth step. Oh my God, how am I going to do that? I'm so afraid. Fourth step, why? Oh, it says write who you're resentful for. Man, I was resentful for everybody because everything was your fault. It wasn't my fault. Even though I participated in my life, it had nothing to do with me. If she would just shut up and do what I tell her, it'd be all right. You know, if my boss would just do this and and let me, you know, if I just get the right relationship, I get the right car, the thought pattern of the ego, that's what that is. Not the spirit. The spirit is the love in here, you know. So write those in. So it's easy for me to write resentments. And then all of a sudden I started thinking about, I'm afraid to tell you guys the shit when I didn't care who knew what I was doing. Didn't bother me at all, but now all of a sudden I'm clean and I can't tell you. So the fourth step for me was not hard. And I wrote it. And then the first line in our basic text in the fifth step is the key to freedom. And it was for me. It was definitely for me. It was freeing. I can't explain in words how freeing it was. Remember I mentioned I was a Vietnam veteran. For years, I blamed Vietnam on my addiction. If I hadn't have gone to Vietnam and seen the horrors, then I wouldn't have shot heroin. Bullshit. When I was in Vietnam, drugs saved my life. If I did not have drugs in Vietnam, I would have not made it. They literally saved my life. So they did serve sort of a purpose. Even though I was whacked down on my head, and I put a lot of people's lives in danger because I was loaded. I remember one time I was in artillery, and we had a fire mission where you fire off all these artillery rounds, and they're like, the way they're fired is there's a bullet, and then there's powder and you put it together, but if you don't put the powder in it, or you don't put the round on top of the powder, then the powder just explodes. So these guys are getting hit, and we're supposed to shoot all these rounds, and we forgot to put the bullet, boom, you know, and it flashes, and so they're looking, where did the round land? Well, there ain't no round because it's sitting right there. So we put people's lives in danger when those rounds are going to save them from dying. So anyway, drugs saved my life there, but it got me hooked, you know, and I blamed Vietnam, and I blamed it, until I got the pen and the paper, and I wrote a whole inventory only about Vietnam. And I remember I told you I talked about that guy, Jeff. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he was with me the whole way. We wrote that inventory, and let me tell you, it was the most freeing thing that I ever experienced. I got so much freedom when I wrote that paper, wrote that inventory, and it showed me on paper the real reasons why I used. The real reasons why I have this hole in the middle of my chest that I can't fill. I tried to fill it with drugs when I got clean. I tried to fill it with sex and gambling and shopping and everything else, and it cannot be filled. The only thing that can fill that hole is a power greater than you. And getting out of the ego and getting into my spirit. So there's this wall in Washington, D.C., and it's called the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And it has every name of every soldier that was killed in action. And I used to go to Washington to visit my brother, and I could not get up to that wall. I could get across the street, but I couldn't get to it. Until that day that I wrote that inventory. And my sponsor, Jeff, took me there, carried me there. And I think about him a lot because he just passed away with 40 years clean on March 1st. And he took me there, we did our business. And it was the most healing thing I've ever experienced. Until I wrote some more inventories about other stuff. So I want to say to you guys, what I mean too, is there's nothing in here that you can't heal yourself from. Every one of you has got your Vietnam. Whether it's being molested as a child or battered wife or been in the penitentiary for your whole life. Whatever it is, everyone has their Vietnam, and there's not anything that a loving higher power in these 12 steps cannot change. Nothing. What I'm telling you is my experience. I'm not telling you something I read out of a book or some therapist told me or I took some kind of psychotropic drug. I'm telling you my experience, you know. And so that was a healing part. Miracles happen. Magic happens when you put the pen to the paper and you share it with another addict. Magic happens. There's nothing better. The therapeutic value of one addict was without parallel. When two addicts share their recovery, there's magic in the pen, man. Miracles have happened to me, and I'll tell you about a few more. So during my addiction, I lost my children, and then I'm going to get back to something in Vietnam too. But I lost my children, and finally, my wife, who was my using partner, and she got clean, and when I refused to get clean, she split. And finally, when I got clean and showed her that I was serious about being clean, I was allowed to see him again, and so they were back in my life, and I have a daughter who lives in Washington, D.C. She's 37. I have a son named Michael, who's 38, who has Down syndrome, and he lives with his mom in Pennsylvania. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from Washington, D.C., and so 3 times a year I go and pick them up, bring them down to my daughter's, and we hang out. But so before they had moved away, my daughter had asked me, she was maybe 10, 9 or 10, and she said, Dad, I got this gymnasium or gym thing, presentation, will you please come? I go, yeah, man, I'll come. Because the addiction took away me being a father, and all I really wanted to be was be a father, man. I loved my child, I wanted to be there, and my addiction kept me from that. Promising them, I'll be there to your birthday party, and then I would shoot dope, and I couldn't go, and I disappointed them, man. So I just wanted so bad to be there. So I said, I'll be there, and I was all excited. So I go to this gymnasium like this, they had these picnic tables, and when my daughter saw me, she lit up. She lit up, man. There's my dad. And so, watch me. So I'm watching her, and what it was, we did a couple of somersaults, pull up, a couple of little things, and I'm sitting there in these picnic tables with these other parents, and all of a sudden I start bawling, uncontrollable. And these other parents are like, whoa, he's just doing a somersault. I mean, really? But see, the thing of it was, they weren't you guys. You would have understood. They didn't understand. I was there with my children. It's one of my most favorite memories. And Michelle, it's one of her most favorite memories. That's what recovery does for us. It gives us back our life. It gives us back all the things that this horrible fucking disease takes from us. This disease is a family disease. It affects everything. And it will rip you apart and rip your family apart. And you ain't got to put no drugs in you. It can kill you quick without putting any drugs in you. I talked about I got this hole that I can't fill. I tried to fuck myself, couldn't do it. I tried to gamble, couldn't do it. Shop. Let me tell you, see I'm wearing Under Armour? There's 3 Under Armour stores in Denmark that I paid for by all the shit I bought from Under Armour. I got hard gear, white gear, yellow gear, cold gear, hot gear, every kind of gear, and they sit in my closet because I can't wear them all. But I'm trying to fix this, fill this. I got 6 toasters and I don't eat bread. But they look good. Got a gold one, a silver one, black, That's addiction, man. So, let's go back to Vietnam. I don't really want to talk that much, but I finally got to the 8th to 9th step, and I've gotten more freedom from the 8th to 9th step than anything. So, in Vietnam, I had to do horrible, horrible things. And some of those horrible things is I killed children. What I mean is most of the they were children. And I mean, they were going to kill me. So I had, and I was a soldier and I had to do what I want. And there was this one time, I told you I was in the artillery, and there was this one fire mission that we had, and we fired all night long, every round there was. And we completely wiped out 2 villages, destroyed them to the ground. They were on fire. Everything was dead. Water buffaloes, women, children, dogs, anything that was there was obliterated. And then they came to us, and the officers were so happy they wanted to give us fucking medals. How do I take a medal for that? I don't want your fucking medal. No way, I don't want no medals. But you saved all these. I understand we saved them, and that's the end. I understand. I can't. So it haunted me about killing children. And I blew away 10-year-old, blew them away. Watch their heads. Horror. That would haunt me in my sleep. I suffer from PTSD. I still go to PTSD classes, or not classes, therapy 50 years later. I've also done inventory with my PTSD. But anyways, how am I going to, my 8th step comes up, and I got these children, Vietnamese children on this 8th step, and I'm thinking, how in the hell am I going to How in the hell am I going to make amends to dead children in Vietnam 40 years ago? So I went, who did I go to? Sponsor. Sponsor, going to teach you, show you what to do. So I went to my sponsor, Billy. How am I going to do this, man? We're doing this 8-step. He says, all right, here's how we are going to, he said we are going to do this. Not you alone, we together, me and you. All right, what are we going to do? We're going to get on the internet, we're going to find an orphanage in Vietnam. And we're going to send that, we're going to adopt a kid, and we're going to take care of that child. So I got on the internet, I got this child. Then after a while, they sent me pictures. She disappeared, I don't know what happened. So went on a different, so now I don't take care of why. I send money to the whole orphanage so it gets distributed for all the children. And then they send me emails and pictures. I just got one 3 days ago from them. They send me pictures. One time, one of the first pictures I got was a picture of all these kids saying, thank you, Daniel, because of the money you send us, we have clean water. That's how you make amends to dead children. So when I say that you can't make amends to somebody who's gone, or you can't make amends to somebody that you really need to and can't, yes, you can. There's a way. These 12 steps can heal anything if you do the work. You don't do the work, you don't get shit. You get out of this what you put into it. So that's how you make amends to dead children. One of the most healing things. So for the last, now it's going on 13 years, I send money to Vietnam every month. Every single month. Freedom, man. So, I told you that I shot a lot of dope, right? I shot a lot of dope. I got this thing called hepatitis C, and got diagnosed in 1992. They gave me this stuff called interferon back in the day. It was the most horrible thing. You had to inject this shit in your stomach every week, and it would make you feel like you were dope sick or had the flu, and it didn't work. So I did that, it didn't work. And then in 2007, I started getting sick from hepatitis C, which turned into liver cancer, and I needed a liver transplant. So through the VA hospital, and then in the year of 2009, I was in the hospital 10 different times for hepatitis C complications, liver cancer complications. I had liver chemo, different things. And if I didn't get this liver transplant, I was going to die. So who took care of me? You guys. I had a friend named Tom, who I mentioned in the very first, who came from Los Angeles. He took care of me, carried me, took me to meetings, took me to doctor appointments, took care of me, paid my bill, did everything. I never forget him, man. And it was time to get, if they told me, okay, you're number 1 on the list, number 2 on the list, which they're looking for a liver for you, and you're gonna get one anytime. It's September 1st, 2009. I told you my clean date was September 16th, okay? So I'm waiting, and they don't call me, so you're gonna call you any day. So now it's September 12th, they ain't called in 12 days, so I call them up, pissed off, like, where's my liver? Like they can go in the store and pick one out, And they said, well, it's really weird, the hospital does 4 or 5 a week. We haven't done a transplant in 10 days. It's the weirdest thing. I've never seen it happen before. When you get it, we'll let you know. Just be ready. So I'm whining to my friend, and he goes, well, Dan, yeah, that's true. You're going to have to wait. But think about the guy on the other end is going to have a much worse day than you. Like somebody's going to die so I can live. So that's just more, self-centered addict bullshit. Where's mine, man? Where's mine? Guy's going to die so I can live. So I said, okay. And so now it's September 15th, and I'm or September 14th, and I go, you know what? They're going to call me on my clean anniversary. anniversary. I know it. So September 15th, 10 o'clock, I go to bed. All of a sudden I hear the phone ring. I look over at the phone, it says 12:08. They called me to get my liver on my clean anniversary. Now you tell me there ain't no fucking higher power, man? That's a pretty good birthday present, man. Saved my life. Because if I hadn't got that, and within a month I'd have been dead. So they send me, ready for this? So the VAs, they send me to the airport, they call me, come down to the airport, they put me on a private jet. What dope fiends fly around in private jets, man? Flew me to Pittsburgh, and that day at 5 o'clock I had a liver. And I'm alive. Again, I get to Pittsburgh. I had called up my friends from World Service, going to Pittsburgh to get this liver transplant. You got to hook me up. So when I got out of the ICU and I was in the regular room, 9 addicts from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania were in my hospital room. Ones I'd never put my eyes on, never seen them before till they were in my room. And today, one of those addicts is my sponsor. NA, man. NA's different, I'm telling you. Show up, you know. And I got my liver. The last thing I want to talk about is, you know, they got this, I don't know, in Denmark they have an opiate crisis like they do in the United States. It's opiates and fentanyl and all that. They're killing all these kids and killing everybody. It's really an epidemic. The real drug dealers are the United States prescription drug companies, not the Mexican cartels. It's the drug companies. They make billions of dollars from opiates. And they hook these kids. But so anyways, I want to tell you how insane I am clean. I hurt my back, where I'm hurting so bad I can't stand up. I can't move. I mean, I had to call my friend Jim. He got to carry me to the emergency. You know, they give me narcotics. The only thing that would work. Well, I'm clean. I have much respect for the disease. I can take them the way they're, and I took them as prescribed. And you know what? They actually work when you do that. What a concept, you know? Instead of taking 8, I only took 2. And it worked. So anyway, so let's fast forward a little bit. So I'm starting to feel better, and I got like 5 pills left. So the little addiction ego man says, Danny, you only got 4 pills left. What happens if you hurt your back again? You better call that doctor, get another prescription. You're going to need that in case you relapse on your back. So, yeah, you know, that's probably right, you know. So I'm thinking, and then all of a sudden I remember what our literature talks about in the second step. You know, what is an addict? Is the addict the little old lady that will scam a doctor, get a prescription, or the junkie on the street? Why may not, if I call that doctor and lie to her and tell her I need more narcotics, like, I may not be the little old lady, but I'd be the little old man. And I said, and that's if you call her, that's a relapse. Because you're lying to her to get more drugs that you don't need. That's a relapse. I flushed the rest of them pills down, man. So I'm just saying, what takes out people with clean time is hurting themselves and getting put on. So you got to be vigilant. I have no reservations about step 1, man. I am one bad decision. Everything I love and care about will fit right in that little cooker. Everything. Poof, gone. One bad decision. I'm serious about staying clean. I'm serious about recovery. I do not treat this disease as a joke. This is life and fucking death here, man. And if you think it's not, just go away for a little while. You know, addicts are like, you know what wildebeests are? You know, they're in Africa and they migrate to get across the river to, get to grasslands. Well, that's like addicts. The wildebeests and the crocodiles are waiting for them in the river, and the ones that are on the outside get eaten. The ones that are in the middle make it across the other side. And that's just how we are. If you stay in the middle, in recovery, you'll be okay. But if you're on the outside going to a meeting, I don't need to go to a meeting. I don't need to call a sponsor. I don't need to do all that shit. I got this down, man. I got 10 years. When I had 10 years clean, I was out getting hookers every fucking night, man. And then what cured me of that is I picked up one and got her in the car, and she says, I'll take care of you as soon as I take care of me. She pulled out the spike out of her afro, and I watched that blood go up in there, and I knew at that moment if I didn't get her out of the car, that I would be right with her. And she flew out of the car like the flying nun. But what I'm saying is I took the disease for granted, that I had 10 years clean, and I can do anything I want. It's not true. So, I don't know, man. I know that's my 10 minutes. I could sit here and tell you for another hour of miracles that have happened in my life. One of the greatest miracles is that Denmark would want me to come here and say something, man. I'm in Denmark, man. What the are you kidding me? I've never been to Europe before. You know, and everywhere I've gone in recovery, whether it's another state or country, you guys have been there and taken care of me, and just like you did before. So I want to thank you all for the warm, you know, there's too many people to name, but you know who you are, man. You guys know who you are, and all the new people I'm going to meet, and what a gift we have here. The last thing that I want to say is those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. To our great